everybody. We are live with another episode of Tales from the Tavern. Hope you all are having a lovely, lovely Halloween day. As you can see, we are all dressed up for the occasion, and so we're gonna talk about costumes in just a little bit. We're gonna be drawing the winner of the Twitter costume contest a little bit later on tonight. And I have some amazing guests here with me tonight, and so I would like to give them all a chance to go around and introduce themselves and tell us a little about who they are. So I'm going to just throw him right into the whole thing while he's not paying attention, and I'm going to have Reed go first.
I'm right here, and I was paying attention.
I know you were.
And my mic is on. That's important to remember because I almost hit my mic off. So thanks everybody. I'm Reed. I'm one of the producers as well as streamers and dungeon masters on the Games Tavern. I love creating content, and I'm here. What else do you want me to talk about?
Would you like to tell us a little about the charity that we're raising money for tonight?
I would absolutely love to talk about Operation Supply Drop. Operation Supply Drop is the charity we're supporting today, and we're very proud and excited to work with them. They've helped over 1.5 million veterans and their families with award-winning veterans programs, some of the best programs I've ever seen. As a person who's done multiple charities with Operation Supply Drop, I can tell you, and as a 27-year veteran myself, I can tell you that Operation Supply Drop's programs make an impact, and they are very meaningful. And we couldn't get there without your help and your support. So far, we've already crushed 2 challenge goals of $2,000 and $3,000, and we are just a hair's breadth away from hitting that $4,000 challenge goal. And hopefully with your help tonight, we can crush that goal tonight and help a lot of veterans. And who knows what I'll do for a charity donation on stream live in front of everyone. You never know.
Oh my goodness.
No, we've already had offline conversations. We probably shouldn't have on conversations. But, we anyway. Thank you so much for any support you've already given us. And we really appreciate you helping us get the word out about the charity. Did you already put the link in chat there?
Your link is in the chat in your bio, and !charity will also pull it up throughout the night. So.
And we just reached the 4,000.
What?
And what? What? No, we did not.
Yay.
No. It looks like no, we did not.
I was like,
we're
wow.
at 3,886. We're almost to 4,000. So yeah, it's showing the end goal there. It's showing the end goal there. So.
Yes.
We're so close. It looked like we'd reached it.
Yeah, Red Chat didn't look back over.
If you see the link that 2012 Wolf's Blood put in there for us, you can see the link there, and you can donate at any point in time. And I've gotten really long-winded, so back to you, Gamer Loveland.
Well, thank you, Reed, and thank you, honestly, for coming on and hanging out tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And for those of you who have not met Reed before, he's a couple-time veteran of coming and hanging out in the tavern with me, and I'm always glad to have him back. So thank you. And next, we're going to first-time guest, K.O. Myers. Tell us a little about who you are and what you do and where we can find you around the internet.
That's me. Thank you, Luna, so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. My name is K.O. Myers. I am the host of the Roll Factory podcast. I just launched it this month, and I am basically walking through the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition character sheet one number at a time. Real short episodes where we focus in on one feature. I do a little explainer, and then I have a guest on to do a roll. Eventually, it'll be a resource where someone can either listen through the whole thing and get real in-depth about the whole sheet, or if they need to specifically, like, what is a perception check and how does it work, they can go find that episode and do it. That is my first in-house podcast for my production company. I edit podcasts for a living. The podcast is Roll Factory, is on our website is rpgrollfactory.com, and we're on many of the socials at RPG Roll Factory, and it's mostly for new players, but I'm welcome feedback and guests and all kinds of stuff from people with any level of experience. So I hope you'll check it out. And again, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. That sounds really cool. I'm excited to hear about it. And we always get questions here from a lot of new players. So it's always nice when we can point them in a direction of, hey, you should go check this one out. So, so thank you for coming on tonight. And let's see. Our next guest that we have has been here before. Press X to jump. Tell us a little about you.
Hi, I'm Steven. Some of you may know me across the community as Press X to jump. I'm not really a content creator, but I do create mischief every once in a while. And Luna, I thought we were starting with like Quiplash tonight. You want to do that? Wait, no, this is the wrong show.
Wrong show. Sorry. Well, I'm always glad to have you here, and it's nice to have you back on. Thank you for coming on, and your costume looks fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
I like the mask. I'm digging that. And let's see. Next, we will go over to Baloo, another first-time visitor today.
And I'm not going to be last. I wasn't prepared for that. You didn't fill me in.
I mean, we can skip you and come back, but...
Oh, don't do that. I'm ready for my turn. Don't do that. So no shade to people who are already on their turn, ever. I'm never going to give you any crap for that, or I play with you, because that's what I do for a living. I play D&D. Wow, that never gets... I'm never tired of saying that. I did a podcast for a while, too. I met cool people like the Pondsmiths. You might know them from Witcher and Cyberpunk and a pile of other cool stuff. And I met the Dalai Lama that one time, and I've spoken to Stan Lee for about 12 seconds. But, life is good, and I'm here. So, enough about me. Talk about somebody else.
Well, that's 12 seconds longer than I've spoken to Stan Lee, so you've got that.
It really wasn't anything. It sounds much cooler than it actually was. I said, hey, you want to be on a show? And he said, yeah, sure, kid. And then he died. So...
Oh, no.
Spoiler
Right there
alert.
in front of you?
No.
That's so terrible. You killed Stan.
Right.
No.
The stress of dealing with my energy killed him. Right, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's tragic, but at least you had the chance to say hi to him.
And totally not my fault. I'm going to put that card on the table. It was not me.
Right.
All right. And next we will head over to Scott, who we all know from chat as Zeal Zaddy. Zeal Zaddy is often here in chat asking all kinds of great questions on this show. So it's nice to have him on this side of the camera for a change.
I love coming on this show. It's my favorite show. Every Sunday I'm like, I gotta get there before 7:30 and be ready to hop online. Best show on both on Twitch, and I mean it beats everything else. So how can you go wrong? I really think that you had 12 seconds of heaven right before murdering Stan Lee now, and that's kind of stuck in my head. So that's a little bit like worrisome. I'm Scott. I'm one half, actually, of Zeal Zaddy. There's another partner of mine who, through the pandemic, has been off camera, but will be coming back on soon. But we do have a 2,000 followers giveaway going on Twitter tonight, and we will find out who is going to get to play in the Gods of Creation stream with the amazing players that I have lined up that are content creators. There's Jess Pendley of UO Publishing, Star Shinobi, who everybody knows everywhere in this D&D corner that we have. D&D Elise, who makes a lot of amazing stuff, and Cryptrite, which is Chris Valentine. Those four you'd get to play with if you're the one that wins that tonight. I stream a game on Tuesdays, a D&D 5e game called Elixia. It has a lot of things in it like dream states and mysticism and things like that. Occasionally there's nasty fights where a whole party's almost killed by a bunch of thieves with daggers, which happened last week almost. So things like that happen. And then the big game, the Gods of Creation game, is on the 4th, November 4th. So whoever wins tonight has to get a character together quick. Thank you for having me, Gamer Mom Luna. I love what you do, and I think this is the best show around.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that. Yes, for those of you who have never joined in an episode of Tales from the Tavern, we have been streaming on various channels for about 2 years. I did the math, and coming up in April, when I did all the countdown, assuming I don't take anything other than the holidays off, we'll be coming up on episode number 100. So that's kind of exciting. And so we're going to have a big party for that one, I think. So, Reed, we smashed $4,000 already.
Holy moly, look at all that.
4,010.
We just crushed it. Holy mackerel. Let's see how that happened. Let's see exactly how that happened.
Give us the instant replay.
I'm going to give the instant replay. Hold
And
on
what's
here.
the new goal?
Well, the new goal is, today is the last day of the stream, so as much as possible, get us to 5K. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's
sure.
push it. Why not?
Wolf's Blood and Wolf's Blood, thank you so much for your generous donation. And Gamer Mom Luna, thank you for your generous donation as well. We really do appreciate that. You guys are amazing. Wolf's Blood, there's actually a special treat in there just for you. So just a heads up, we're going to be contacting you afterwards. So just be ready for that. Hopefully you put your email in there. So, but thank you so much, guys.
Go ahead.
About what? About treats?
No, about how you're going to contact, like the long arm of the internet. Just reach out, like there's a knock on his door, right? Like,
you don't want to know all the secrets that I have
I don't think I do.
to find people and no. So what it is essentially, we hopefully you put your email in there. But anyone who donates $50 gets an Adventurer's Bundle from Shard, which means you get Shard Tabletop plus 4 third-party bundles to go with that. At $100, you get a GM subscription, a DM subscription, Dungeon Master level subscription, plus 5 bundles to go with that. So the Adventurers gives you the player sub for a year, plus a whole bunch of other things. DM 5 bundles, plus a whole bunch of other things. Plus, I think a 20% discount to Tabletail Games, where someone else will run a game for you by a bunch of actual professional actors. And they're phenomenal people, by the way, every one of them. I've spoken to them at length. And then from there, we reach out and we contact you guys. So, yeah.
Well, that's very exciting. And yes, if you haven't ever used Shard Tabletop, highly recommend. They have a really great virtual tabletop system over there. So,
one of our partners. Yeah, we love them. We love them.
They're great. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's dive into some questions and start having some conversation around here. So for those of you who are visiting for the first time, the way that the stream works is we take all of our questions from chat. So please feel free to drop your questions into the chat. I have a moderator who will make sure that we see them. And if you have been hanging around for a little bit and you have some channel points racked up, you can use the Ask My Question Next in your channel points, and that will bump your question up to the top one in the queue, so you don't have to wait for us to get around to maybe not answering it until the second half. So, with that said, we have had a lot of questions about, trick-or-treating and Halloween candy and who would your characters dress up as. And so, what I would like to know is, tell us a little about your costumes that you're wearing tonight. And anybody can answer first. Feel free to dive in.
All right, well, I'll jump in then.
Sure.
So, I am generic middle-aged man wizard, not associated with any existing IP, troublesome problematic authors. I've got my wand. Turns out when my hair receded, there was a cloud at the top of the scar here.
Are you just discovering this now then?
Yeah, it fell out gradually. It wasn't all at once.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you didn't know you've had this mark since you were a little kid. Maybe you didn't. Did you get in a tragic, like, lawnmower upside down take injury at, like, your mid-30s? Like, what?
No, I've had this since I was a child, but it was, again...
You just didn't know.
Harry Potter meets Mad Men.
Yeah, right.
Yes, well, yeah, and as I was preparing I'm thankfully still blessed with a reasonably
luxurious,
contiguous head of hair. And so as I was doing this, I realized that, and I'm going to take the headphones off so you can see the effect, but it ends up being much more Tobias Funke than Harry Potter, so I blew myself early. And I've made a huge mistake. So
there it was. He held it just for that.
Oh no, what have we done?
Oh boy!
The best thing ever. That's what we
Yes.
I should probably hop off at this point because I'm not going to top that. So it was nice seeing all of you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Who would like to describe their costume next? Anybody?
There's not a lot to say. I'm the Hulk because I'm lazy. Also, I'm big. I'm real good at pick it up and put it down, and I do okay with people. So, the Hulk it is. I have a long sleeve green shirt and purple pants that you can't see.
Well, I joined
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I joined K.O. Myers in the middle-aged form factor, but I went with the middle-aged rock star, and it was a perfect excuse to buy one of those awful hair shirts to really make it like really dead on perfect. So,
Yeah, I thought you were just coming out of your clothes. You know what I mean?
But it's not completely different from what's underneath. So I thought I can get away with it this year.
I was like, he's just gonna show us all of his like shag up there. That's fine. Whatever. Like,
I think it's amazing that they have shirts just for that.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
All
Like,
right.
that's like first apartment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The best part is that somewhere there's someone whose job it is to design the hair on the shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Is it thick enough? Is it dark enough? Is it matted or not matted enough? Like, so
Is he-
that's somebody's
is he-
job,
Is he Tom Selleck masculine or is he Yeti?
right?
Well, that
Is he
depends on your
gonna-
confidence level. It's all in how you wear it.
You're right.
Well,
Press X, you started to go? Yeah.
well, my favorite anime is Sailor Moon. And the character that I gravitate towards most is Mamoru Chiba, otherwise known by his alter ego, Tuxedo Mask.
I love it. It's
You-
That is
You
a
have
bow tie
faith.
on your face. That makes so much more sense now to me. I love it. I love
It itches. It itches. This mask has gotten like tears in it from laughing.
A lot of love.
Oh, okay. Okay. Tears from laughing. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
I thought the itching was that bad for a second. I play rogues on TV. No, I play rogues on stream all the time, and so I have a number of different rogue outfits. So I've got my climbing rope, I've got my outer gear, I've got my hold on a minute, my dagger. And, hold on, let me put that back in there. Oh, that may leave a mark.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Your delivery
Oh,
read is
I'll
so
just-
good. I love it.
Yeah. And then I've got, my bag of holding here, which is things. And, oh, yeah, my goggles of the night, because nothing beats seeing. And then I've got this lovely period hat, which, believe it or not, hasn't changed in probably several thousand years. It's one of the Pakal hats that I brought back from Afghanistan, but it also looks a lot like some of the medieval hats that you see at Ren fairs. So
Yeah.
it's very comfortable. They're very nice and warm. And not only that, it fits my noggin pretty good and lets me hold the goggles on at the same time. So, it's me styling roguish style.
I like it.
Little arm, whatever they call these things. I don't know, but they look rogue to me, so I put them on.
And braces?
Yeah.
Gauntlets?
Arm braces, van braces, sure, leather van braces, and that works for me too. And outside of that, you really can't see all the rest, and frankly, I don't know that you want to. So, yeah. So I'm a Dungeons and Dragons rogue.
There you go. And for anybody who has ever played the Life is Strange games, I at PAX several years ago cosplayed as Max Caulfield. I used to have, and I was looking for it like crazy today, and I can't find it anywhere. I used to have a complete with the Polaroid and everything, the Polaroid camera that still worked. It was like a 1980s Polaroid camera, and I had film for it and everything, but I can't find it. But yes, I even have the Jane Doe shirt, which is kind of hard to see with my lights, but it's bright. It's a light pink, and it says Jane Doe on it. And yeah, so it's great because it's my favorite costume because it's a t-shirt, a hoodie, and a pair of jeans, and I am super comfortable. So
Wow.
Awesome.
yes.
And Jane Doe is on the shirt.
Yep, it says Jane with a little tiny picture of a deer. So it says Jane
Okay,
Doe.
so no toe tag.
No.
Okay, very
need-
important.
There we
need-
go.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to have Luna's pajama party next.
Yeah.
So that we can all just hang out in pajamas, and that would fit in again.
I mean,
Oh, twist my arm, but I won't bring a
That's-
dagger for that one.
that's how I run it pretty much most weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
I could be in my
I would try to
PJs
stay
for an
that
hour
way.
too.
Most weeks I'm definitely in pajama pants from the waist down. So,
Right.
yeah.
Now I'm trying to picture you with pajama pants on your head. Right.
Now I know how she channels such a relaxed dream.
Yeah, right.
I just realized there are two people I know that live up in the Washington area, Reed and Shannon Roby from S Roby 25. They both love rogues. What is with Washington and crime?
It's Washington.
Have you been here? Washington D.C. It's not Washington State. Let's be clear here. It's not Washington State. It's Washington D.C. area. So,
Yeah.
I know
Well,
that
Let me
works.
tell you something. When have you ever met a politician that didn't keep their hands in your pockets as opposed to someone else's? It
I'm in
starts
Silver
at the
Spring,
top.
Maryland, and I can
All
confirm, although
rogues
usually
still
they're
have
not
to
wasting their time. Oh,
Go ahead.
They're
Alright.
not wasting their time. No, they're
They're
stealing
not
all your
wasting
money.
their time on individuals. They're finding ways to steal from whole groups.
Well, that's because they do a
Collect-
bulk business. That means
Yeah,
they're really good rogues. They're very effective.
Highly effective rogues. All right, well, we've got a couple of questions that have come in from chat, so let's dive in with those. The first one that we have is from Obering, which is dark vision, good or bad?
Good.
Good.
Is that not how I was supposed to do that?
Yep,
It's
good job.
It's a thing.
Good.
Yeah.
I like dark vision because it restricts
Bad.
your players to see in black and white, and
Oh,
you use
I like-
that. Shadows move in black and white. Like, I don't know. I think dark vision's cool.
I
I
think
like
it's
it from
on
a
way
player-
too many. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm just gonna say I like it from a player perspective. It is sometimes a little challenging to deal with as a DM, but I mean it's part of the game, and it can and especially if you have a party where some characters don't have it and some characters don't, it can create some interesting dramatic scenes where, okay, do we want to risk lighting a torch for the human, or do we want to just have them stumble through the dark or be led by somebody? So I think it's all in how you use it.
Yeah, dark vision because I'm a purist in terms of the dark vision rules, because dark vision becomes too much of it if you forget the fact that you make your perception checks and everything else at disadvantage with dark vision. It's not well, first of all, if you've ever worn night vision goggles, it's not that great when you're wearing night vision goggles. Believe me, I've collided with a tree at high speed running through the woods with night vision goggles. But it's not that it isn't useful. It can be, and it can let you get closer to places without revealing your presence. But at the same time, chances are if you're stalking something in a place where you need night vision all the time, everything around you also has night vision all the time. Your torch isn't going to give you that much of a disadvantage if you can perceive things better. You're going to have to light a torch if you're going to want to see really well. And besides that, if they're all having dark vision and you light a torch, you just ruin their day.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I think too
think-
many of the races have it. Honestly, I just think
I
they
think
just gave it to
there's-
everybody willy-nilly.
Like, is it dwarves have it and halflings don't? In
Halflings
50?
don't, because halflings are more like humans. Humans
That
don't.
makes no
I
sense.
play humans all the time.
Hobbits live in the ground. They live in big holes, big hobbit hills, but that's underground, right? They live in the dark.
No, they live in hobbit hills, but they work the countryside. They live outside all the time.
Yeah.
Dwarves
but I
live
mean,
underground all the time.
Do they? I mean, just
Yeah.
because they have mines and big stone castles, this means they never see the sun?
No, they see the sun, just not like a hobbit does, which is daily.
I suppose.
Why do elves have it but Furbolg don't? That's
Right.
Well,
just
elves
weird.
Elves are
Furbolg
elves.
is such
I
a
mean,
weird-
Elves are just
there's
magic
so many
AF.
things elves have that they should. I mean, they're pointlessly tall. They've got really good hearing. They've got dark vision. They're unbelievably fit and slim all the time. Have you ever seen a
4 hours
fat
and
gluttonous
learning
elf?
to sleep?
Have you ever seen one? They don't need to
Yes,
sleep.
actually.
They don't need to sleep. These guys, they've got it all. They've got it all. And they live forever.
Pointy-eared chumps.
You imagine how many shows they can binge watch and not worry about if they're going to miss something?
True.
I think dark vision from a tactical other side of the table point of view. I tend to treat my monsters like they have a brain. So if you're running around in the dark and you can see in the dark, I argue that the creature that can see you can tell whether or not you can see in the dark. You're not stumbling, you're not wincing, you're not putting your hand on the wall to see where it is. That creature's coming for you first.
Hard to catch food versus easy to catch food.
Right. That creature's if it's a grab and go creature, right? If it wants a lunchbox, a Lunchable, and it wants it now, it's going to snatch one of your friends. But if you're coming to hunt it, it's taking you first because you're a threat. Like I don't.
The
always
monsters know
play-
what they're doing.
Right? Yeah. It's yeah.
true.
So-
And there's
so
a book.
shameless plug. It is
There's
a
a book.
great book. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
So it's if anyone who hasn't read this, you should. Keith Amon's a genius.
Yeah.
The only issue is that this book is based off of his blog, which is constantly refined. I bought the book knowing that simply because he deserves the damn money.
Yeah.
But But I would still reference the blog over the book in most cases because he continues to refine it because he's like one of the greatest people for the table. Seriously, his work's amazing.
So because we're going to release this in podcast in about a week, what's the title of the book so people can hear it?
The monsters know what they're doing.
The monsters know what they're doing. Combat tactics for dungeon masters. Keith Amon, based on his popular blog, The Monsters Know What They're Doing. That's really what it says, top to bottom. I didn't just reiterate to be a jerk. That's really what it's.
Yeah. And I don't know that fur-blogs need dark vision. I think that less creatures need dark vision. I think the creatures that have it are pretty good. Yeah.
I think there are too many that have it. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I want torches to be useful. Most
torches aren't like that's the thing you got to remember though. You got to have them on for. I mean, disadvantage with perception is huge. Disadvantage on investigation is huge. Disadvantage all the time is huge. Light spells or torches, you got to have them.
Yeah.
So here's I don't know if I get to ask a follow-up question to that. But perception is passive perception is the floor, not the ceiling. So if you roll, if your passive perception is 14, and somebody asked you to roll a perception roll at disadvantage, and you come up with 7, you didn't. You came up with a 14. So after a while, I mean,
but passive perception is also based on the floor being what you can see normally.
True. Yeah. Are you suggesting that we throw out the mechanical aspect of passive perception as the floor?
No, I'm suggesting that the DC gets higher.
Okay. All right. Sure. Fair.
I think I've seen +5 to the DC is a typical kind of thing you might see.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right. So Draconics had our next question, and Draconics would like to know, what was the first game that enticed you into the RPG world? It can be tabletop, video game, etc.
Define RPG. When Draconics says RPG world, do they mean RPG as in like Dungeons & Dragons or that sort of thing, or literally anything we might call an RPG like Final Fantasy?
I would say the latter. Yeah, literally anything that falls in the RPG broader category.
Oh, Dungeons and Dragons. For me, it was Dungeons and Dragons. I really love Dungeons and Dragons. That's what it was.
Holy crap.
From the very beginning.
Man. I've played more video games than I can count. Hold on.
My first was Traveler actually, but Dungeons and Dragons was a close second.
The system where you can die during character creation. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had characters die in creating. It was the weirdest thing when your first game is you roll dice, your character dies, and you have to start again. Like, really?
It seems like a waste of. It seems like it is, but it seems like it's just a waste of. Yeah.
I don't know which one came first. It was either Alundra, Azure Dreams, or Final Fantasy VII. I kind of played them all around the same time. The first tabletop I ever played was what I understand now to be an exceedingly modified 2nd edition D&D. I grew up on 3rd edition. It was the first system I owned, and I loved it because it was mine, not because it's any good. No offense to people who love 3rd edition. Crunch bothers me. I'm a low crunch kind of guy. But I still own a bunch of my 3rd edition books, and I love them. But the first one I played was a very, very modified 2nd edition.
I will have to agree with the Final Fantasy VII aspect here, because Final Fantasy VII is my favorite RPG, period. I also have to throw out one on the original PlayStation called Vagrant Story.
Ooh, yes.
If anybody's ever heard of that.
Yeah.
Vagrant Story is amazing, and that got me into like listening to like Dungeons and Dragons podcasts and just experimenting with TTRPGs in general.
I remember Final Fantasy II was the first Final Fantasy I tried out.
Nice. And what effect did it have upon you, if anything?
Not that it's nothing, but that when video games were starting to become really popular in the 80s, there used to be games that were called hot seat games. And we would gather around and actually role play things that were totally not in the game. But we would take turns because it was turn-based video games. So we would literally go from a Friday night to a Monday morning, sleeping in between turns as the turns got longer. That was pretty crazy and pretty freaking awesome.
KO, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, my video gaming, I I did some in the 80s, and then I had an Atari 2600.
Me too. Yeah, that's what I started.
And then
on.
I didn't have a system again until my ex-wife and I bought a Wii. Like I had this
pretty big jump then.
This whole chunk there. So,
Yeah.
but I played a bunch of the Sierra game, the King's Quest and Space Quest and stuff on my dad's
Oh
PC.
my gosh.
So those were kind of, you got to make some choices. It wasn't straight up role playing, I don't think, but
Was it like the same guys that made like Leisure Suit Larry and?
Yep.
Yeah. I remember
All those great 80s and 90s point and
Where's
click
the
adventure
clue?
games.
Where's the clue? I've clicked every darn thing on the screen. Where the hell is it?
Yeah,
I know
and
exactly what you
Those
mean.
are things that made me grow up to have a really strong opinion of puzzles and that sort of thing at the table. It'd be funny, but I need it, both as a host and as a player, I need it to make sense. It needs to make sense, or I'm going to get irritated that you made me jump through hoops so you can laugh. Right? Like I don't want that. Humor subjective. Don't do that.
I don't know why that just led me to the broken sword goat puzzle.
Cause it's
One There you go.
That's why. Like, because it's PTSD on a floppy disk. That's why.
Yeah, but the thing about Dungeons and Dragons is you don't even need a puzzle. Just lock the door.
Yeah, right.
Watch the party spin
that's true.
forever.
Yeah, right.
Close the door. You don't even have to lock it. Just close the door.
If somebody's watching this and you have any doubts at all that you need to be clever, you don't. Just do something weird, like put a wooden box in front of the door. Not like a big heavy, like a bread box. Like just a big wooden crate. It fell off the shelf over there, but your players are going to be like, why is it in front of the door? What the hell?
Yeah.
They're going to spend the
Who
next
left
10
it?
minutes.
Are
ripping
they
out
still
their
in the
hair.
room and invisible? Like, what happened?
Never mind that a kobold with dark vision saw them coming, dropped the box, ran out, closed the door behind them. And that's why you need dark vision, folks.
That door goes nowhere. It's like a broom closet with a kobold in it with a spear, hoping desperately that he'll see tomorrow. Right?
Exactly.
Oh man! Somebody in chat just said my first introduction was to Dungeons and Dragons was the cartoon.
I'm sorry.
Which cartoon? Which cartoon? Because there's
God.
the one with the kids who got sent from another world into Dungeons and Dragons, but then there's the one with Dirk, the knight. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, they said the one with kids.
Oh yeah, the one with Dirk the Knight. It's like, what would you do? And they even turned into a cartoon. It was a video game too, and you'd slash different things if you did stuff in the wrong order.
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
It was very, yeah. Gosh,
That was the first video game. The first video game that was on. It was on a laser disc.
It probably was. Yeah, that was the era. Yeah.
That was the actual arcade cabinet had a laser. I'm pretty sure it had a laser disc system in it, and so you would do the thing, and then it would show it. It was Don Bluth, I think, cartoon, where he would do the thing, and then you would make the next decision for him, and then he would do the next thing. Yeah, it was fascinating.
It was an arcade game. You couldn't get this thing on.
Right? No, I mean in the
anything.
arcade. It was in the arcade cabinet. It was. It had.
Dragon's
the
Lair?
video was
Yeah.
Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's
that's it.
Lair, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you okay, Balu? Did you blind yourself?
What? No.
I saw Balu's light go super bright. I was like, oh my god, I think he just blinded himself.
Oh yeah, no. Sorry.
Miniature nuclear blast.
Right? Oh.
Sorry, I was.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
I was just gonna say my first foray actually into playing the tabletop TTRPGs was literally just because I was married to a gamer who had grown up playing D&D, so he was like, here, like, I'm gonna start a D&D group at our house, and I was like, okay, great. And we had a newborn at the time, so I was like, I'm gonna take care of the baby. And then just as time went on, I gradually moved closer and closer to the table until I told them to make room, and I was coming to play. And then, but in video games, like, I think the game that I would venture to say, I played video games beforehand, but the video game, the one that like turned me into a gamer, because I didn't grow up in a gaming household. Like, D&D wasn't a thing. I didn't know anybody that played. Video games really weren't allowed growing up. I had a Super Nintendo and 3 games, and that was it, except for the Atari that I picked up for $10 at a yard sale. And so it wasn't until I had been married for several years, and I played the first Dragon Age game, Dragon Age Origin. And that's when I was like, this is what gaming is? Like, sign me up, you know? So
I think that's a completely different question than what got us to the table. That question, Alundra, for sure. Alundra put video games on the map for me. The plot's amazing. The characters are amazing. It's the first game that ever made me hate and cry and desire for vengeance in a palpable sense. Like, everybody, if you've played shooters in the modern day, who knows who Handsome Jack is? You know how they want you to hate that guy? That guy has nothing on the bad guy from Alundra. I would, oh man. Alundra put games on the map for me. It's amazing.
Yeah, I wanted palpable vengeance really early on because I was one of the young kids who played D&D first edition in the Bible Belt. And there was a lot of people who made my life miserable for it.
I bet.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Too young to have been there, familiar with the cultural phenomenon. Sorry, buddy. That sucks.
My parents actually played in the 80s as well. Like I grew up with them playing and refusing to let me play because it was something they did with their adult friends. And so they would every once in a while we would go away for a weekend to stay at the other family's house, and the kids would all play together, and the adults would play D&D, and I was always like, come on, please, and they wouldn't let me play. My dad tried to DM a couple of times for me and some of my friends, but as 11-year-olds, we had the same problem scheduling, getting people to come back consistently, and so that never panned out. But I learned watching my mom and dad play with their friends. It was pretty wild.
because I started playing when my kiddo was a newborn, she pretty much grew up, you know, with us always hosting, you know, weekly D&D sessions. And so I remember when she was really little, you know, the Red Rose brand tea comes with like the little figurines in it and stuff. And so we didn't really ever play with minis. Like, we did it all theater of the mind style, but occasionally we would need to like put stuff on the table. So, you know, we would be like, okay, you're this blue D20 and you're this pile of pennies and, you know, whatever. So she would come over, and ultimately the way that we worked it into the storyline was like she was just like somebody's familiar that would pop out. Oh, we lost someone. We lost Reed.
We did.
He's back.
We've regained a Reed.
We've regained a Reed.
Oh, I'm back. You've missed me.
We did. We missed you.
Hold on a second. Right there, I'm back. I'm so sorry.
Yay! And then
You've regained a Reed.
Right.
Like, the wizard
Now,
was
are
knocking
you
at the
the
door.
original, or are
He
you
cast
like
a spell discord
or something?
The wizard cast a spell discord. I had to counterspell it. But
oh
we got the
man,
first one
yeah,
off.
brutal.
Transporter malfunction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just what a Reed doppelganger would say.
Right?
Exactly.
You filthy clone.
I don't have the goatee, so I'm not from an alternate.
You're not
universe.
the evil one. Right.
I'm not evil Reed.
So anyway, so back what she would
regenerated. Someone just put.
Regenerated Reed.
Vetrox Nightblood, you are one of my new favorites today. Just for that statement alone, I was regenerated. Regenerated.
That's good. Yeah. So she would come, and she essentially was like somebody's familiar that would only come out during battles, because she'd get super bored. You know, she was little. She'd get super bored sitting through all of the non-battle stuff. So her figurine was this little pink bunny that came out of a Red Rose tea. And she would be like, I'm the bunny. And she would literally only be there to roll a d20. And she would celebrate anytime she got like higher than a 15. And then she'd leave the table, and we'd be like, all right, we'll see you for the next fight. Bye. So, yeah. That's a good time.
They do that today. That only they're there for the fights, and when it's not time to fight, they mentally wander off, and I don't give them crap for it, right?
Yeah.
And when it's when we're cycling, because we don't really use initiative, so when we're cycling around and it's free form and nobody's fighting, so they're all just talking and jumping in, I'll make sure I swing the spotlight over him and go, "Hey, do you have an opinion?" He goes, "Nope," and we move on.
Oh, and Bertrock's Nightblood, to your comment about your dad, tell him he's right if you're lucky.
Yeah, right. Good call.
It's not going to take over your life. It's not. It's just going to influence it for the better, because one of the things that we all need to learn is that it is possible to slay dragons and demons.
It is. Yeah.
And sometimes real life throws these dragons and demons at us. They have
The
different forms.
all-seeing guy. Yeah.
Yeah, but we can slay them. the fact is those fairy tales and us playing pretend don't have to change because we became adults. We just have to remember that we can do that.
That's such a good
Sorry
point.
if that was too deep.
No,
for the
that was
moment.
great.
I thought that was great.
We've talked in the past before about how, you see gaming clubs more in school, but more so being used like to help teach, how to contend with bullies and how to work with others, and a lot more social skills than.
Yeah, you slay them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, was that not an option?
I don't think that's quite
Right.
the choice that most go for. That's the choice I would go
Here
for.
on the channel, at least I don't condone bloody murder of people who oppose you.
I didn't
To a
say
point.
that.
Like, to a point.
Well, except for Stan Lee.
Again, I did not kill him. If it makes you feel better, I shared an email with Ursula Kaligan, and then she also died. So maybe it's me.
This is how rumors
Wow.
get started.
Hang on. Why did you invite us onto this stream, Gamer Mom Luna?
I had no idea this was
Don't you
going to
know
happen.
what you just brought this bad juju on us?
Right, is this like
This is a stream. It's not a phone call or an email. I've never killed anybody through a stream before. You're probably fine.
I was
Probably.
There's a first time
Allegedly.
for everything.
There's even a game that I saw recently that it was kickstarted. I don't remember the name of it, but it taught you sign language as you played.
Inspiriles.
That's
That
awesome.
was an Inspiriles. Which
He
I
was on
like,
here
that's
with us.
Yeah,
amazing.
he's been on here before, and he's
I was
gonna.
on here with him.
Yeah, he's gonna come on again when his next Kickstarter launches in February.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, he's
Do
launching
you have a
another
link for
Kickstarter
that?
called
I will
Over
be
Isles.
all over that.
Just look up Inspiriles. Starts with an I.
Yep,
You're right.
INSPERIS.
LES.
LES?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Got
it teaches both American and British Sign Language. So, I'll
That's
have to.
awesome.
I'll pull it
Which-
during the break. Draconics, but yeah, it's already been kickstarted. They're in like the, getting the hard copies out now and stuff. But he's a Hatchling DM on Twitter at Hatchlings DM. So look him up.
Nice.
But yeah, it's really neat. So I actually play tested it before the Kickstarter launched, and it was really cool. There's a whole story behind like why your characters are called Pendragons, and it does. You have to learn how to shape sign language and letters, and it starts very slow and walks you through the different letters and that sort of thing. So it's a neat concept. And then they actually, for their new Kickstarter that's coming out in February, they actually just brought on a lot of them have worked with the BSL community, but they actually just brought on their first deaf content creator as part of their team. So that's very cool.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely check that out. I will grab the link during the break and drop that in chat for anybody who wants to look at it. But yeah. All right, let's see. So we got another question from Draconics. Thoughts about allowing a Warforged druid in a game, yay or nay, and would you allow it from a DM perspective?
I'm about to introduce a Warforged druid as an NPC. Actually, my party has been sent to retrieve a star map that is going to turn out to be built onto the body of a Circle of Stars druid who is a Warforged.
That's cool. I'm all
Yeah.
for it. What is Vision if not a Warforged druid? Vision for Marvel Comics. Ultron builds him as his would-be son, right? Vision is a machine. He's basically a Warforged. Vision looks around and goes, "Hey, Dad, you're wrong. The Avengers are the good guys. You're the bad guy." And they're like, Ultron's like, "You betray me!" And he goes, "Yeah, well, you suck." and spends a lot of time like hanging out with birds. What's Android 16 from Dragon Ball Z if not a druid who's a Warforged? Like, it's a world with dragons and pixies and sentient balls of mud and talking cat people, and I mean, it's a magical setting. The idea that anything is just objectively off the table kind of rubs me the wrong way. Yeah, I would totally allow. What, are you kidding? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. If what you want to play is a Warforged Druid and that's what will make you a happier player, I'm all for it. Just make me a good backstory and make it interesting. That's all.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I don't come to the table with any pre-built world at all, none. And then I just build off of what the players wanted. So I had one player say, "Hey, can I?" We sat down to play for the first time, and he was joking. I at least he thought he was until I said yes, and he was like, "Wait, what?" He asked if he could play a sentient piece of cheesecake, just like a wedge of cheesecake, and he did. He played a telekinetic piece of cheesecake.
Amazing.
Who, with his the energy bubble around him, had all the mobility and functionality you might find from 2 arms and 2 legs, right? He had telepathy, and I thought he was going to come out as a gag character, which would have been fine, but he wasn't. We cried and cheered, and it was dramatic as any other character.
Sounds like a flump with the tentacles cut off.
Yeah, right. Very much so. It was great.
For me, talking cheesecakes and all and gag characters are cool and stuff, but I just think the trope gets old after a while like that. Obviously they're fun and you should play them. They're a riot. Druid Warforged, on the other hand, that's got a whole lot of potential story in there. I think that's got a lot more there to it in terms of.
Then
I'm coming
cheesecake?
from a. Oh yeah, talking cheesecake gets funny for like you guys heard me say a certain word several times over and over again behind the scenes, and I'm not going to say it now, but it was funny, and I can make you laugh just thinking about that word, right?
Yeah.
I can. But the thing is like there is a point where if I say that too much too often, it's just not funny anymore. And
Yeah.
I think a talking cheesecake is a riot in a gag game or fun stuff like that. But I also come from this I tend to, I do fun short games too, but I also like to really, really dig into those longer games, right?
Oh yeah.
And
me too.
you got to have humor there. You're going to get real too serious way too much. And I've been in those games where it got serious too long, and your players just say, "I'm done. This is this feels like work. No thanks." And but what I will say is though, when you look at this Druid Warforged, you're gonna have to, for me as a dungeon master, I'm looking at, all right, explain how this works. And I'm not saying no, I just want to know how it works, because I have to work in the story with this too, and it has to make sense to me. And it's not that I'm gonna say no, I just need it to make sense. That's all. So because if you don't have it, quote unquote, make sense, and when I say make sense, it has to have something I can build off of, something that has some basic rules of understanding of what you can and can't do, or how it works, because if not, if anything is possible, then everything is possible. And if everything is possible, then nothing matters anymore. There's no restrictions anymore. And you got to have some things in there. Otherwise, you don't have the challenge of story and overcoming obstacles. Maybe he's the only Warforged in existence, and he doesn't even know why he has these powers over nature. And maybe, secretly, it's Pinocchio. And you get the idea. Like, it's a Pinocchio story waiting to happen, and Mother Nature or whatever force of nature that is the powers in that world for druids.
So the cheesecake was amazing. I was not prepared for that.
I bet it tasted delicious.
Oh, we didn't eat him.
So the cake was a lie?
No, the cake was real.
You see how many things I can throw in there in one short, oh man, I just teed that right up.
He comes off the banquet table. He just comes to life, right? And he's immediately horrified because as he becomes sentient, he watches a banquet hall full of people eating other desserts and stuff, and he doesn't know if they're sentient too. So his very first. Go ahead.
What was the name of that supermarket commercial where the foods came alive and they were having parties and everything, and then they were horrified when they thought they had been, they had been selected to go to the island, and then they'd realized that they had become someone's food. And I
know there was a movie.
That's that movie.
Sausage Party?
Sausage Party. Yeah.
Oh God.
I despised that movie. I hate that I remember that.
So that cheesecake was having a sausage party moment. Got it.
Yeah. He so the backstory is obviously the character doesn't know this, but the player does, right? That the cheesecake is one of 8 pieces. He's been cut off of he's a piece of 8, which is also a gag, right? But it was super serious because the other 7 pieces, he doesn't know if they're sentient too. If they are they parts of him? Are they his siblings? Can he touch them? What happens if he gets hit with acid? We found that one out. He turns into a half deranged puddle of goo. It got super serious. We all cried when pastry finally melted away into nothing. I was totally expecting a gag character, and what I got was more drama than you find in Lord of the Rings. I was blown away.
It's kind of like when someone has a puppet and they're doing all these gags and you feel suddenly bad for the puppet, and then he goes, and then the puppet looks over, see, I got you guys all fooled. You're feeling sorry for a guy with a hand up my butt. And it's like, whoa, what just happened there? It's like, no, what is puppet?
Where is all this depth coming from?
Yeah.
I ran a puppet D&D game last week, and that joke never came up. That's really good that it didn't.
So, speaking of that, Scott, I have to show you. She's sitting right here. Like, she's all done.
Oh my goodness gracious, that is amazing.
Awesome.
So, yep. So I will save
Super
her for
cool.
another time. Yeah, I was actually supposed to be in that game, and then had some life stuff come up that day and wasn't able to play, which was kind of a bummer. But I've got her sitting here in reserve for the next time.
Yeah, I think the next one's November 20th, if I remember correctly. So check your calendar.
I will look. All right, let's see. We have a question from Vertrox Nightblood. What is your favorite class and subclass?
Rogue.
Just in case you weren't sure.
Rogue,
Yeah.
followed by Ranger
Rogue.
very closely. I play the utility characters for the most part.
That's so funny. Those are the same for me, too.
Same for
Rogue
me.
and Ranger, in that order.
So, things that players play or things that I play? Because I never play. Like, I never.
So you play the Dungeon Master.
Ballad of the Forever DM.
Yeah, but I like it that way. It's not like a song of loss and longing. I don't want to be on the other end of the table.
You don't
Interesting.
like?
Why's
Oh.
that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to sound like such an asshole right now. Because I have rampant ADHD and bipolar disorder, and almost no one I've ever met talks fast enough to keep me entertained. Like full disclosure, because I get bored exceedingly fast. And when I have to balance a bunch of players and their ever-shifting desires, because they're cats, and whatever is all going on inside of the table, and the noise from the living room, and all that, that's the right amount of chaos for me. And as a player, all I have to do is babysit my character sheet and try and raise other people up. But I can only do that so effectively with one turn, and it's not enough.
Wow, I was expecting to hear something about like I really need to have control, but no,
no,
it's like
God.
no. I just really need to be kept excited and busy.
Yes,
and
I
informed
need to
and
be
part of something
in
at all
charge, right? Like, no, I don't have any. Are you kidding? I don't have any control. They think I do, but they lie. I lie to them. They have all.
I mean,
power
you
all
have
the
cheesecake for characters. That tells us a lot about where this is going, right? KO, did you say you're a forever DM as well?
More often than not, I'm DMing, but I have had a couple of opportunities to play recently, which has been refreshing. I got to play a Circle of Scribes, or the Order of Scribes Wizard for the first time, which was just, it was a higher level campaign, so we started at level, I want to say 15. And so there was all kinds of fun features that I got to dig into. The Awakened spellbook that can talk to you telepathically and go around corners and can go through objects or can go through creatures but not objects, which was interesting.
That is interesting.
We got to with my DM argue out whether or not it was so if it can go through a creature and it can cast spells from its I can cast a spell from its point of view using its senses. Can I cast Fireball from inside a purple worm?
I don't see why not.
She ruled that it was okay. So
Nobody asked what size the room was.
Right.
I can't
I
find
had
it.
a player once ask me if a dragon's sphincter counted as an open container.
Oh my god.
What in the world? What?
So
No, not if it's working properly.
Yeah, but see, they had wounded the dragon previously.
Did
and
they
I
wound
had-
the sphincter?
Right, that was what they were asking for clarification on. And I said, given how close you were to the backside and how little wiggle space you had at the time of attack, it is more than likely that you made a specific hole slightly larger than it might have otherwise been. So,
Were you the
yes,
person who said you preferred, like, none of your campaigns really amounted to violence and all these other things, and yet you
wasn't
have
me.
them... Oh, okay, that wasn't you.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Huh.
They got mashed by a dragon inside, so there's like a hole in a cliff. The dragons dive into it, like some doves do, where they just crash into the dirt of the snowbank or whatever. There's a dragon that does that. So this pocket is horizontal, right, and is just wide enough for the dragon to turn around in. That's it. The players climb up the cliff, go inside, dragon swoops in. They have nowhere to go. The good news is the dragon can't really get to them with its teeth or anything. The bad news is it is going to crush them into dust. So they were like, well, crap.
Sphincter time.
Right, and one of them was like, hey, crap, that gives me an idea. I have create water, and I was like, oh my god.
This dragon needs an enema.
You're right.
Oh,
They
Lord.
figured they would goose the dragon into shooting back out of the cave wall. It was a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have questions or if I just want to pretend that conversation never happened.
I think we all need therapy after listening to that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Same.
K.O. Myers,
It was just clipped.
class and archetype.
That's a really challenging one. I really did enjoy the Order of the Scribes Wizard. I'm playing a rogue in another campaign that we just started in, and I get to choose my subclass soon, and Inquisitive sounds really interesting to me. I played a Mastermind rogue that I also really enjoyed. I think if I had to pick one, though, the Divination Wizard is really interesting to me, and I like having them at my table when I'm DMing as well. It just that weird sort of it's utility, but it's not a direct utility, and it's giving them having the opportunity from a narrative sense to describe what they're seeing in the future and how it's affecting how they're affecting events with the divination dice and stuff like that is really, there's a lot of interesting narrative opportunity there, and so
Divination is such a fantastic RP.
and I think it's I think underutilized or
totally.
undervalued, I guess.
And
I use it a lot.
I played
love
with
it.
one brief, not me personally, but I played with someone else who was playing one who was loving it, and I suddenly I'm a fan of other people playing Divination Wizards because they are such an amazing buff to any party. They are such an amazing everything, and it's also like watching the movie. What was that movie where Nicolas Cage could see 2 minutes into the future? Next, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
sounds familiar.
it's like that with the wizard all the time, because he's like, "You've just been hit by." He's like, "No, I haven't. I had already moved out of the way of that thanks to this feature of my class." And I'm like, "That's amazing," And I was like, "That's better than evasion." Me, I still gotta dodge the thing. You weren't even there. That's great.
Yeah, so you're a wizard, but you don't cast fireball. That's correct. So what do? You should step 2 feet to the left.
Why? Really should have.
I enjoy playing a bard because there's so many different things you can do with a bard character, and specifically the College of Eloquence bard, because I like to talk and I like to persuade. And when I was playing a game with some of my other friends on Discord shortly after the pandemic hit, we started playing the Descent into Avernus storyline. And my bard character needed something a little bit for him specifically. So the DM actually wrote a homebrew College of Dance. So my character was, because I described this character as the main character from Flashdance meets Yuna, the summoner from Final Fantasy X.
Right.
Amazing.
So just a staff that can be used as a physical weapon to hit, or it was just a dance to do any of the spells. And I thought that was a brilliant character that I never got to fully flesh out because that campaign ended suddenly very, very quickly.
I think I'm almost never a player. In a video game, given the choice, I'm going to play me. I'm gonna play the Hulk or Conan. I'm gonna play something that's really big and really strong and really not that complicated. I don't understand. Human fighter, I guess. It's what I know. I know how to be me. I know how to be a human fighter. I don't know how to be Dwarven Artificer, and Captain America is an incredibly complicated and interesting character to read about, and he's a human fighter. I'm a big fan. I think a lot of people go, human fighters are boring. Yeah, they can be, easily, but I think
No.
boring combat, not from, like, the class doesn't have any depth.
None of them are boring.
Right, yeah, exactly. I think all classes can do something cool if you want them to. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all pulpity there for a second.
No, it's cool.
I think human fighters can be some of the most in-depth and exciting characters to play. All you have to do is just consider everything you do to be a fight scene with stunts. And just go with it. I mean, role play those stunts in with your fighting moves, and just go with it. Yeah.
I think the character that put the human fighter, or I guess in this case the human barbarian, on the map for me is Conan in one of his stories, not the movie. I can't stand him.
The barbarian.
It's funny.
Conan,
there's a period where he comes forward, swings his sword out once, and then swings it over to the other hand, like throws it through the air, and takes the back of his hand and bashes that dude's forehead in. Not enough to kill him. He doesn't want to hurt him. Enough to put him to sleep while he's standing up. And he just moves on to the rest of the room and takes care of everybody else while that guy's still standing there going. And I was like, I'd never thought of that. That's cool. Right? And Howard put just martial combat on the map for me as a D&D thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's when Conan basically said, I would like to rage. And did that as a barbarian, yeah.
I don't think there's anything on the character sheet that says you're going to be either an interesting or an uninteresting character. Right. Nothing on it says you're going to be awesome at anything. All it says is that. Right. It all comes from if you're a really interesting role player and you'll find ways to make the character sheet add value to what you're already going to do. Right. The character sheet is a supplement to your brain, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. And your characterization that you can pull off in real life, you know.
The character sheet is an opportunity.
Yeah,
it's up to you to take the opportunity.
Yeah, I specifically have to put flaws in my character sheet. Otherwise, I'm just too good. I mean that. Like you can actually with rogues, you start adding things like prodigy and other things on top of that. You have like a guy who can get away with a lot of things. Or if you're a bard, just jack of all trades. That whole thing where you're great at every skill, you can roll anything. I mean, like it, especially at higher levels, it becomes such a challenge. I like having a kryptonite that other people have to be the ensemble members of the team to do things. You know.
I'm a big fan of playing even in a video game. I love to play a character who is mechanically poor at their job. The idea of playing Conan, who with a strength score of 9, is hilarious to me and makes for great roleplay.
Conan the Beatdown. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Conan, and who's still
Conan
is going to try and use his knuckles first, right? And when that doesn't work, is going to have to adapt. The problem is that none of his other skills are any better, right? So that sort of forces roleplay out of me, and I'm a big fan of that when that happens. I encourage players when they roll poorly to keep those rolls. I go, if you really don't like it, well, get a new guy. Restat your old one, right? But seriously, give, next time you roll stats that suck, it's not so bad. Also, if your stats suck, you don't have to worry about padding them with a bunch of armor and making sure that your precious treasure character is safe. Because they're not your precious treasure character. So you're going to do incredibly stupid things with them. In the beginning.
Remember,
go ahead.
Good stories start with bad decisions.
They do, right. I actively
said the rogue.
Party. No one ever says, man, I'm glad we played it safe and stuck together as a team because that was boring and super fun. No one ever says that. Every plan that starts with, I probably shouldn't share this plan with you guys. This is a dumb idea. Do it. That's the good plan. Do that one.
I don't even think most DMs look at the character sheet to understand the stats. They jump right to things like backstory and how can I take your story and intertwine it into whatever the arc is going to be, or even make it the arc. I mean that's that's the meat. That's yummy.
As a DM, a lot of times checking the stats is cursory at best, and that's just to make sure there's anything completely out of whack here.
Yeah.
From just a starting perspective, is something way out of whack here from what we agreed upon. Then right into backstory. How do I build a story off of this? And then later on, when they're getting to be too good for me as the DM, I got to start looking at stats, saying, "All right, how do I DPS these guys down? Like, how do I challenge these guys? Not just role play, but with a beating."
Here's my notes from a table I've been running for a little over a year. Hosting for a little over a year. Running sounds so single player. So I'm not going to share them all with you, but here's all of the mechanical notes for an entire year. Three players, each of their names and character names. The class they chose, because once upon a time I thought that mattered. Their hit points, their armor class. That's it. That's all the mechanical coverage I have for a little over a year. And the rest of that's backstories and NPCs they've grown attached to and stuff like that.
Cheesecakes were created from this. I just want you to know that, audience. Cheesecakes were created from this. Sentient cheesecakes.
I have no idea what... Somebody asked me the other day, can I join such and such table? And I go, yeah, sure. And they go, tell me a little bit about the characters. Okay, sure. And I said stuff like, there's a melancholy wanderer who's on the quest for his family. And he was like, okay, yeah, but what class is he? I have no idea. Like, I don't know. And he goes, how long have you been playing with him? And I said, like 6 months. I know he carries a sword, but play a video game, that does not narrow it down at all. I have no idea what class he is. Not a clue. What race is he? A human, because it matters.
Somehow we're giving all this awesome information, and we're still at 4,010.
Right.
What?
I know.
What?
If you want to ask me anything, you can, but the donation's going to be costly.
It's true. So, with that said, we're going to go to break, and you all can think about what you've done. And
what you didn't
That's the mom part of Gamer Mom Luna.
there it is.
I'm going to go to my room and get the
I don't know about you, but
things I want to think about that I've done.
And when we come back, we will pick a winner for the costume contest. We will answer a couple more questions that have come in. And Zeal Zaddy, I know you have a giveaway that you need to pick a winner for as well. So
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So we will get to that in just a few minutes, and we will see you all after the break. All right, we are back, everybody. Hope you all had a good break. And I see you all commenting in chat about the music. It's a nice Halloween-themed playlist, royalty-free, that somebody shared in my Discord today. And I was like, I think I'm going to use that for the stream tonight. So, yeah, it's a good one. I am a fan.
Thank you, anonymous person who shared that in Discord. You rock!
Yes, he does rock. It's one of my moderators. All right, so we're gonna dive right back in, and I think we should judge a costume contest. Actually, first we need to talk about the kitten that's on the screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
Kitty.
Yes, make a fuss over Dave.
That's Dave.
Oh, Dave.
Hi,
Make
Dave.
a fuss over Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Hello,
Dave,
Dave.
you're so cute.
He's so cute.
Yeah.
I love
That
him.
is the smallest little tabaxi I've ever seen. And
But he's fierce.
He's nomming on your fingers too there, buddy.
Nibble, 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 nibble.
Yeah. Nothing beats needle sharp kitten teeth.
Yes.
I don't know. Puppy claws, man. Puppy claws suck real bad.
Yeah.
All right. So I was thinking that we should probably take a look at some of our entrants for the costume contest. So I'm going to put them all up on the screen so that chat can see them as well. Mm-hmm. And basically, we don't have a ton. We've got a few. They're going to cycle through, until we're ready to pick a winner. So for the people that are on stream, I shared them earlier in the Discord chat. I'm happy to share them again if you would like me to. And I am going to switch over to that screen so that everybody else can see them as well. So we'll cycle through a few of them so you can see. And they are all people that entered on Twitter. So yeah, I'm going to.
What's that hashtag, Luna?
Oh, the hashtag that we had people put in, TFTT, Tales from the Tavern.
Ah.
So yes, so we've got Trevor, and I've never watched the whole Castlevania, so I don't know these characters. From 2 Castlevania characters, we have we have Ina Coffin as Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and we have excuse me, we have a female dungeon master from the cartoon. For anybody who is familiar with the character.
I just think that that's genius right there.
I know, right? We have Scooby, Shaggy, Scooby, Shaggy, and Velma from Scooby-Doo.
I do love a good family costume set, especially if it incorporates the pets.
Right? Midwest Mini Guy sent in a picture of his family in Renaissance garb.
Oh, yeah.
Tolamac made that Slimer costume.
Yeah.
What? That's
Yes.
cool.
How are we voting?
I love the teeth.
I figure we can just discuss it and,
Okay.
from there. And then for people that are in chat, if you want to type the costume that you like the best, and we'll see. And there's
I love that
yes,
one.
there's the geeky seamstress of
That's amazing.
Sally. And then this was one. It's not an actual contestant, but I had to add it in. This is Thing, dressed up as Madonna.
I don't know about you, but I'm having a hard time focusing now.
Well, it brings new meaning to Like a Virgin. That's
It's
all
true.
I'm saying.
It's true. Yes, we affectionately called that one the sexy lean photo.
Yes, yes.
So chat, go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know who you guys like the best, which costume you like the best, and the winner gets a $20 gift card to Arcane Spectacles. So
That's all I had to do. Didn't have to do anything. I can make you guys laugh now.
Hashtag if you know, you know.
it's true. Yeah, some inappropriate conversation in the green room
Behind
that
the
will
scenes
stay
giggle.
between us.
What happens in the green room stays in the green room.
Yep.
If you ever get invited to someone else's show, now you know.
Now you know.
It's always worth being in the green room prior to the show start
Yeah.
and making people laugh. And
It
that's
is
what I
true.
do.
It is very true. So I've seen one chat vote for Slimer.
I love Slimer's teeth. Not just that they're big and chunky, but I think in the picture, I think there's a little bit of green rot up by the gum line, and I think that's a cool little detail. I really like that.
Yeah. Oh, we've got somebody else saying Sally.
Yeah, I'm really stuck between the Sally costume and then Molly Mock, because Molly Mock was an amazing one.
That was a good one too.
That's that
was-
TV show where like people are like checking each, that are grading the fashion people out. It's not
Oh,
something I would ever watch normally, but I've seen it on different.
You're currently
shows.
participating in it.
I'm currently, yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're
really
all-
love the cut and
Yeah.
the style and the colors are just so amazing on this particular model.
America's
I
Next
think-
Top Model or something
Yeah,
like that.
Project
think-
Runway.
Yeah,
you
one of
really
those.
evoked the costume in horror, or in some cases, in Belle's case, the delight of Belle very wonderfully.
I love the posing of the whole thing. Right? 'Cause Belle could have
the
just
Dungeon
easily,
Master
like, leaned against
costume,
the
though,
wall.
pretty darn good. I got to give
It's
some
definitely
credit there.
thematic.
Yeah, I love the buttons. I love the face. The kind of I
The
know
serious
something that you
face,
don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, so
And incorporating the
Dim-
family dog is both cool and cheating. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Empire.
like, the Family Dog is a good one. And the thing I like about Midwest Mini Guy and Family is I think his wife's holding a medieval RPG. Looks like an RPG 7.
I mean, that's sure what it looks like.
Yeah, I
And-
think it shoots exploding acorns or something.
So I happen to know 2 of the contestants, so I'm going to recuse myself from voting because if I don't vote for both of them, they'll probably stab me. Or even if they don't stab me, they'll be hurt personally, and so I can't vote, unfortunately, for
The
my own
dim pi-
protection because I have an outsized sense of self-preservation.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Dimpire in the chat just posted, but Sally has a keyblade.
It is true. Sally,
So-
actually,
Yeah.
the person who shared that one, the Geeky Seamstress, actually shared that it is Sally with a keyblade, or the Keymaster, if you will, is how she worded it. So,
That's pretty darn
Well,
cool.
that sums that one up for me.
I'm a sucker for red and white color scheme. I don't know why. It's just so I don't know if I can be impartial here. Somebody dressed up in that color scheme. That's it. I that's it. My judgment is impaired.
My God, you're an easy impairment.
Yo, yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens if I give you beer.
I don't
Lightweight.
drink at all. I love that the female dungeon master has like the biggest D20 I think I've ever seen.
I know.
That's really great.
Oh, we got
Again, not really
we got another
fair
one
enough.
for Sally. So we've cycled through the pictures a few times, Draconic. So
Stop. Rocking.
let's see. There are, I can tell you. Hold on. For actual contestants, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 possible contestants. Draconics is rolling a
dice out.
D8.
Might as well at this juncture. They're all good.
Well, we've got 2
right.
chat votes for Sally and a chat vote for Slimer.
I think Sally's face makeup is really
It is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing is really spot on. I like the Slimer just because it's kind of outside the box, being around, having the body of the costume around the face.
Oh yeah.
So is really with the teeth on either side of the or on either side of the head is interesting.
Slimer's like an ectoplasmic lump. He could totally like on
Right.
you
And
like
that's
a helmet.
somebody, and that's
Exactly.
somebody like he swallowed, who's
Yeah.
screaming
Yeah, right.
to get out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
What's the rest of the costume? Because it could just be that, in which case the Madonna hand is on par with that. It's just part of the body costume.
The Madonna
and
hand is
Madonna's
there to
got that
detect
killer
bots in
template.
chat who vote for it. Okay, let's be straight up there. That's there to detect bots in chat.
I have to be 100% transparent. That's actually one of my moderators from a work meeting the other day.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
they did a whole Addams Family themed thing, and so he
Right.
was Thing. But
The hat in Midwest Mini Guy, the hat in the middle, the purple hat, man, love it. I don't know what it is.
Midwest
Purple.
Mini Guy's costume is totally, fully on point and
Oh, yeah.
fully there. You can tell like that's a true Renner at work.
That's a costume? I just thought he went out for the day.
Yeah,
That-
right.
I mean,
That is, but
that's probably
when he's at
true,
the Ren
yeah.
Fair, it's a costume. But when he goes out, that's just his apparel.
it's just Thursday.
I mean,
Yeah, right.
when he's at home in his leisure clothing, he's only got paintbrushes and pajamas on. But I mean, like
Nice.
out
Sally
and about. I mean, he
probably-
can go down and duel somebody on the sidewalk. You don't want to be that guy. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I just realized that Molly Mock has stuff hanging from their horns and hair and stuff.
Yeah.
just like Molly
I
Mock
missed
did.
that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm not familiar with the character at all.
Needs
I don't
more
know who that
tattoo though.
Agreed.
And did Sally sew? I mean, her name is sewing seamstress or whatever. Did she sew that costume together?
I know for a fact that she did.
I was gonna say I believe she
that's
did. Yeah.
pretty freaking awesome too.
is. Right?
Like, that's good. I mean, you have to give value to the. I mean, it looks like all of them have made their own costumes.
Well, the reason I know about it is she was posting it on Twitter, and I happened to see her Twitter account for it. So
Yes.
yeah, it was pretty good. Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby, color codes are correct. I think the dog is cheating. And adorable, and such a good boy,
Such a
or
good,
such a
girl,
good cheating
or girl.
Good
dog.
doggo.
such a good
Yeah.
puppy.
Yeah.
Cheating.
I love Midwest Mini Guy. I wonder whether all of that costume, the family costumes, were purchased. And
Yeah, that I don't know.
because they're
that-
at a Ren Fest, a lot of times people buy them. I don't really know. I want to know some more backstory to these costumes.
Well, I know Midwest
Hey,
Miniatures
play
guy's
D&D
been
or
around the scene for a while. He knows his stuff.
yeah, he does. Been doing a lot of amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I'm like,
And I know I've seen Tolmach on some other things too. I just can't remember
yep,
where.
too.
Yeah, he does. He's pretty active on Twitter. He does a lot of art, and he made his Slimer costume. And then actually, just today, I saw he built his kid a proton pack.
Nice.
So
Well,
yeah,
Oh, that's
one of my
cool.
friends
Oh.
from school in Arkansas, when I went to school in Arkansas, where we have a saying, "Thank God for Mississippi, otherwise we'd be last." because it's the second worst school districts in the nation.
So true.
Yeah, and he's building proton packs. He's selling for $1,000 a piece.
Wow.
And I think he's getting it. I
believe it.
Dungeon Master's rocking. Who's Hina Scroll? Like, did she make that, or did she pick that up, or?
I know that those can be purchased. I've seen them in stores before.
Okay.
So.
But the thing I like is, she didn't use the balding wig.
Yeah.
You know, she just embraced. You know, I can be a dungeon master. Screw you guys. You know, and frankly, she looks like a very empowered dungeon. I don't want her dungeon mastering for me. She'll murder me.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But if she wanted to,
ask this.
I'd play a game with that dungeon master as long as she wore that costume. And even if she didn't, she'd probably still murder me at the table if she was DMing.
All right, so we have a chat vote for the dungeon master.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's it.
Anybody else got final thoughts?
Do I have to actually vote? Oh man, what if I grow to be friends with all of you and they're through all of you, all of them? Someday
that's
they're
after the fact. It's not now. It's not now.
Oh, I see. So I have like temporal immunity. I see.
Yeah, that's how this works.
Oh crap, the Slimer one, because I'm a sucker for green, and I was just watching Lego.
Plausible deniability.
Right. I didn't know you then. I can't factor in my emotions. Yeah, right.
I didn't recognize you with Slimer on your face. I got it.
Yeah, right. Sorry. Oh wait, you're the guy who was in Slimer's head. What?
You got a little right here, just right and here and here.
Yeah. There's something in your hair too. It's
Is it a
weird.
helmet or an ectoplasmic arrangement? What is it?
The reason I'm really scared of Hina Squirrel's DM costume, it's the size of the D20. Because when you roll a crit with that, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
A lot.
You know there's
Regardless
like
whether
lead
it's a
in it,
natural 20.
so when they roll it, it like crunches the table.
Enamel painted metal dice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so much for my table.
Yeah, right.
Well, we got another chat vote for Sally. So we're at Slimer with 2, Sally with 3, and the DM with 1.
Oh. Wolf's Blood voted for Thing as Madonna, and I get it. That thumb game is.
That's a bot. That's a bot. Wolf's Blood 212 is a sin. You need to take him down. Take him down.
Call the snipers.
Yeah. Like, there's one among us.
I am hard pressed to want to vote, but I don't know. I'm leaning between Sally and Shaggy, Velma, and Scooby.
The dog.
Well, you gotta say
I got a
that.
Dog
Sally
gets me.
final answer on that.
You said Sally?
Yeah, Sally final answer.
All right.
Sally for me too.
Okay, well then I'm going to say we'll go with Sally because that already puts her at 5 votes. So, Sally it is. I will notify the Geeky Seamstress on Twitter after the stream. Congratulations to the Geeky Seamstress for winning a $20 gift card to Arcane Spectacles. And now we'll switch back to the other screen so we can... There we go. We can all be back in our proper places now. All right. Well, that was fun. That was fun to see everybody's Halloween costumes for.
That was fun. That
on
was
Twitter.
stressful. I had to lay down judgment. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it is a little more fun to do giveaways on Twitter when you can just use like a random picker, but it was fun to see people's Halloween costumes. So, yeah.
That part was fun. And then you made me choose. You're like, look at this fun thing. Look at this fun thing. Choose.
Choose which one is the more fun thing.
You could have been like Draconics and just rolled a D8.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but I can't. It feels lazy. I can't.
Let it be in the fate of the dice.
Yeah, little polyhedral bastards. Yeah, sorry.
Now I can't play with that DM for fear of my life.
Right.
I didn't vote for the DM.
You didn't vote for anybody, in fairness, though.
That's true, but that DMs don't take that into account. They just murder.
Oh,
Who are you
goodness.
playing with? You got all this trauma.
Really? Who hurt you, Reed?
Okay, so I need to remind you that I started with first edition D&D.
Right.
That was a very hateful time for dungeon masters and players working together.
My first DM was my father, and my first PC died in his first encounter.
Oh,
Nice.
no.
See,
Dad,
I had to
tell me
teach
how
a
you really
lesson.
feel.
I had to teach a lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, in that first edition D&D, we knew it was really a war game. It was not a role-playing game.
Yeah. Yeah. The
So
chainmail
I've
days
got a
and stuff.
player. A lot of time we play stuff that's either 5th edition-y or systems that aren't even D&D, right? But he's still old-fashioned. He's old school. When he comes to play, he has a finished character sheet underneath the one he is currently playing. He can't help it. But it's a habit. That character is going to die, and he'll just crumple it up and throw it away and have the next one. Right.
I just put the second behind the name.
Yeah,
I'm here to collect my inheritance of my predecessor things of my father. My father who didn't know I existed until today.
I
In this
totally
very
did the
moment.
thing where I had his twin brother show up.
Nice.
Because
That
again,
is genius.
I was 11, and I was like, what the hell to do? So it was kind of my fault, though. I was playing an elf who, and as I recall at the time, they were one of the few races that could both cast magic and used edged weapons. And we surprised a lizard folk, and he came at me, and I chose to keep my bow instead of picking up my shield or whatever, and missed with the bow, and it was like, well, okay, he bonked me over the head with his mace and
you
one-shotted me. Yep.
Yeah.
As DMs were wont to do in those exquisite days.
Thanks, Dad.
No
No
pent-up
worries,
anger there.
son. Cry later.
All right.
Every
Well,
time
we
for
will
morning.
we'll dive right back in with some questions that we had. Unless Scott, when do you want to draw your winner?
Ooh.
You can do it whatever you want. I can
We
do
can-
it now, or we can wait till the end.
Totally up to you.
Maybe we can hold people here a little longer. Why don't we wait till the
We'll
end?
do it at the end then. Sounds good.
Ooh.
All right, so Vertrox Nightblood,
Strategery.
Vertrox Nightblood had a question wanting to know, which I already know for the most part, what Reed's answer is going to be. No, I'm sorry, we actually already answered that one. Draconics, though, had a similar question. What races and classes does everyone gravitate towards the most, and why?
Depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Races, well, I mean, TTRPGs can be specific, so it depends on if the DM has thrown down some rules or not, but I try to work within those. But outside of that, I do play humans a lot, because they can't see in the dark, and I think that's an entertaining trope that I love to run all the time. But I have lately, and normally I would either play an elf or a half-elf otherwise, but lately I've been having a ball playing gnomes.
Gnomes are fun.
Gnomes can be. I mean, they're like I just hear a squeak, 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 squeak every time they walk. I just hear it in the inside of me, and it just makes me giggle and laugh. And there's just something comedic about an obnoxious gnome who's a bit too big for his britches, but then runs behind the wall, and stuff like that. Or he's very agile and plays this Abbott and Costello game or Laurel and Hardy game or Keystone Cops game, depending on how you want to look at it, of diving around tables and through things that other bigger people can't. As he, works his magic, thank God for acrobatics proficiency or whatever else you need, But that's generally speaking my choices, and then as to classes, we've already answered that over and over again.
I'm drawn to characters that are distinctly, I don't want to say religious, but close. Characters with a strong enough sense of moral, whatever their moral compulsion is, that it does not break. Superman, Punisher, Moon Knight, and I don't mean the kind of cleric or believer that makes you believe their thing, just their thing's not going to crack. Their moral compass never moves ever, and this means they see the world in black and white, which makes for fascinating complications, because a lot of the time the world is not black and white, it's gray, right?
How do you deal with a moral quandary then?
They usually already know what the answer is going to be, and then they deal with the fallout. Like, Superman doesn't kill, period. But this means that his bad guys get to walk away every time, even when he knows they're going to kill tomorrow. Because it is more acceptable to Superman to let Lex Luthor kill again than to let Superman kill him.
See,
And I think that
I love working on guys like you, and I mean that in the most wonderful way. Because I'll throw those moral quandaries down.
I love that stuff.
And watch that story unfold and the consequences that follow.
Yeah, love that stuff.
Yeah.
When I set out to play a video game with lots of moral depth, The Witcher, Skyrim's a terrible option. Morrowind. It's Morrowind or Oblivion. I don't like Skyrim, but Elder Scrolls I'm a big fan. Knights of the Republic, right? I'll decide what kind of guy I'm playing, and then play it that way, no matter what. And I mean, sometimes games are long enough that there's enough plot that I'm like, okay, I could reasonably see how come in this moment the character has changed. I like Captain America because he does not change. Period.
What happens if your cleric finds out your god's really the bad guy?
Well, that's a fascinating thought. Moon Knight, who is one of my favorite Marvel characters, is going through that right now. So
but
Moon
we're
Knight's
not talking about Moon Knight. We're talking about you.
If it was me, right? If I was Moon Knight, I would have done it the same way he did. You can lose the god and keep the mission. You have to if you find out that the god is corrupt or evil or whatever noun here doesn't work for you, right? You have to decide whether or not the mission, the quest you got from the god, fits into your moral code without the god's presence. Can you keep the mission without the god? Yes. Should you? Don't know. Depends on the individual.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I don't know.
I'll invite you to a game, my friend.
Sounds fun.
I love starting with characters that are already in a bad place and have to find their way out morally or ethically or physically even. I love the person who's thieving for a guild that he didn't want to join. His father brought him into or something. And he doesn't want to steal, and he doesn't want to do those things. I love when characters both earn their way into bad situations, which they do all day long in games, and find themselves in them and have to earn their way out. I think those are, those make for meaty sessions and meaty arcs. I mean, one of the things that I like doing when I look at my characters' backstories is I will read through it, and on paper, I'll go, okay, this arc could go from this to a bunch of different places. And I'll do it all through it for different things. And I'll start looking for opportunities in game to start pulling those problems that they created for me into the game in ways that really, I hope, emotionally torture them into hopefully doing something better or greater, or I want characters to feel like they're doing something amazing, not just rolling dice. So I look for that all the time. As far as races, I play humans a lot, but I also love playing Kenku, Genasi. Lately, I've been kind of on a satyr kick, which I think is weird. I'm not sure why I found that. I found it playing on a one shot, and I was like, I had a lot of fun with that. I think I'm going to start bringing more satyrs in. I think they're really fun.
Nice.
Do you ever play? I'd really like to hear from. Actually, before I say anything, I'd really like to hear from K.O. Myers, because I'm really interested in hearing what he has to say about this.
Well, thank you, Reed. I have been actually, I've been enjoying playing Tabaxi lately, very specifically because I like role-playing what a humanoid cat, how the feline behaviors would be interpreted in that context. And so, like, they talking through a mouthful of fangs, they usually have a lisp of some sort.
Castilian. They're very Castilian.
Yeah, and then like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're grooming themselves, or they're only eating when they go they at the banquet, and they're only eating the meat because they're obligate carnivores. Like, we haven't gotten so far as into describing litterbox behavior yet, but it's probably going to happen at some point.
Nice.
And so, yeah, just having that immediate hook, because I do play a lot of times. I play with new players. Most of the tables that I've played with and run have been comprised of new players, and so I find that the best way to get them to role play, never force them to, obviously, but the best way to engage them if they're hesitant is to just start myself. And so having something very simple that I can say, okay, I know what I've grew up with cats, I know what they're like. what would a cat be like if it was 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I like the climbing speed with the claws and everything. But my favorite race to play, I've never played one for longer than a one shot, is a Kenku, because of that only being able to repeat back words and phrases that they've heard. For one shots, that's just comedy gold, because you just write down everything that everybody says, and then I will allow them to have differences of intonation or emphasis, and so a simple phrase that somebody else says that you take it out of context and change the emphasis can bring the house down. So I am a ham at heart. And
if I'm around people long enough, I can sound exactly like them. Like very, very close. I used to be able to do all the Muppets. I can still do a lot of cartoon characters and stuff like that too.
Can you do Marvin the
But
Martian?
Huh?
Can you do Marvin the Martian?
Hold on a second. Let me drink some water here.
Okay.
What's something Marvin the Martian used to always say?
Where's Mike
Take me to your leader.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, take me to your leader. Gossamer! Gossamer!
and the big giant furball thing would come on, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I can do a lot of those, but and that came in handy in my real job at one point in time too. But like, the other thing is when you can do that as a Kinku and actually sound like the other people, that can be scary. That can be very scary. Your voice is actually a challenge to me, because you have this great voice that is at a pitch with enough timbre at a certain point that's difficult for me to attain. So, congrats. Huh.
Well, some of that is I've got the bass turned up on my mixer a little bit, but
yeah, well, it's working for me, because it's hard for me to intonate that as easily, but I can do those things. And I scared the hell out of one of the British guys on our Discord server once doing that, because we were playing Among Us, and everybody was saying, this guy, and then I started doing his voice saying, no, it's not him, it's me, I'm sorry, and he's like, whoa, it wasn't me. It's like, that was me, it's just like,
That's brilliant.
Sorry, it was me. That's brilliant. I love that you do that. No, don't do that. It wasn't me. No, it was me. No, it wasn't. It was great. And yeah. Speaking
How
of
do I follow
Tabaxi,
that?
Speaking of Tabaxi, one of the best things that ever happened. I was on an RPG short shot series. It was a short series called The Heist with Shannon Roby, and Duval from Duval and Dragons, and Anna from the Games Tavern, as well as Stefan from Paradise RPG, or Paradise Productions now.
Yeah.
And Stefan was playing a Tabaxi, and it was great because Duval was the DM, and he was playing a character that kept sneezing when we were in the shop. And as he's playing, he's literally sneezing for real. Like, he wasn't meaning to sneeze. He was doing it. And he's like, I don't know what's getting to me. I was like, and I started losing it. I started laughing. And everyone's like, what? I was like, don't you see? He's allergic to the Tabaxi. And everybody just started laughing, and that was live on stream, and it was one of those great moments where real life can be improv into and just work it in, and it was beautiful. So just remember that if somebody just starts sneezing randomly, I'm so sorry, you must be allergic to me.
Got a homebrew a Claritin cantrip.
Castilian, yes.
I enjoy playing the character that is essentially the comic relief of the entire group. The guy or girl, depending on what characters I'm playing, that does something completely stupid sometimes, or just comes out with the funny one-liner that's perfectly timed, or something like my character Lucas Channel that I play Cyberpunk 2020 on. It was a real serious campaign with 5 of us, and I was essentially the assassin, the hitman of the group. I made him based off of Agent 47 from the Hitman games.
Right.
And just every once in a while, I would one character would say something, or the GM would say something, and I'd just pop it off, and it would make the entire group laugh. And I'm like, yep, we need that in a serious campaign.
But
it can be overdone.
Do you really like playing Cyberpunk 2020? I mean, like, has that been a real? I mean, obviously we're having fun, or you'd have quit a long time ago. But like,
yeah,
what's it bring to the table for you?
It brings to me a different environment. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons, like specifically like the games like that, it has to be a certain environment for me to be engaged with it. And like several people that I've talked to that I work with, I've talked to about TTRPGs, and they're like, yeah, but I don't want to play Dungeons and Dragons because I don't like a fantasy world. I'm like, well, okay, what about a futuristic sci-fi one? You know, and they're like, okay, I can deal with that. It's something I can more relate to because I love games like Metal Gear Solid and like Final Fantasy VII, and then movies like Blade Runner. It was just that environment and that group of characters and that like idealistic environment. I hate to say that word again.
You have the new one?
Cyberpunk Red?
Yeah.
No, I do not. I have not played that one yet, and I want to. I just haven't found the right group of people to do it with.
I have the book anytime.
I have the book. Yeah,
Okay,
it's like I have the book and I've read it through.
I see. You bet.
Yeah,
I'm
we
a
need
big
to talk.
fan.
Excellent. Well, we are just about out of time. Draconics, I saw your last question come in, but we gotta save a little time so that we can let Scott pick the winner for his giveaway. And so what we will do is we will go around again and just everybody remind us of who you are and where we can find you on social media and anything that you have coming up that you'd like to promote or share or anything like that. And then Scott, we'll finish with you and you can pick the winner for your giveaway if that sounds good.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great. So Reed, we'll start again with you.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry I'm so wordy sometimes, but I really do love each and every one of you guys, especially because you just helped us with the crushing of the $4,000 charity goal tonight, and I really appreciate that. And more importantly, a lot of veterans and their families will appreciate that too with the award-winning programs that Operation Supply Drop brings to them. But you can find me on The Games Tavern, twitch.tv/The Games Tavern, or The Games Tavern on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, you name it, you can find us there for all of our exciting nerdy content. In terms of projects we're working on right now, I am on a lot of RPG short shots right now. We are actively seeking additional content opportunities with different publishers and stuff as well. And we've been doing a lot of cool stuff with various different publishers lately. So you'll be seeing a lot of new content with me in it, potentially as the DM. And of course, I produce everything like The Mists RPG, which is D&D in the Dread Realms, Dirty Deeds, which is D&D in Eberron, The Velkin Weave, which is Dungeons and Dragons in Forgotten Realms, and a whole host of other nerdy content just for you, including Initiative Quest, which is playing MMORPG set in Neverwinter online, and having a great time nerding out like that too. So come on in, see us, say hello, don't be afraid. You can ask me additional interview questions if you wish. Anytime you want.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on and hanging out tonight. This was great to have you back, and I'm so glad that we were able to help out with the charity stuff. That was.
Well, you guys crushed it. You hit the home run right at the end. You made the grand slam happen there.
That's how we roll here, man. Nope.
Yeah.
Only a little bit of a pun intended, actually. All right. Well, thank you again. K.O. Myers, we'll go to you next.
Sure. I am K.O. Myers. I'm the host of the Roll Factory podcast. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr, believe it or not, as RPG Roll Factory.
That's cool.
And our website is rpgrollfactory.com. We are about halfway through the ability scores and eventually going to march all the way through the D&D 5th edition character sheet. So if you know a new player or you are somebody who is coming back to the game, maybe from an earlier edition, and you want a deep dive, or if you just want a particular feature that you need an explanation for and you don't want to have to watch a video or read a lot of text, hopefully I would love it if you would look us up and share, help us spread the word. So, Luna, thank you so much for having me. This was my first ever streaming experience.
What?
It was.
I know.
Round of applause.
Right?
Yesterday, yesterday I turned 46. Today I streamed for the first time. So
Hey!
You can teach
That's
an old dog
amazing.
new tricks, apparently. But I had a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, happy belated birthday, and super glad that you came on, and I would love to have you back again sometime, and we'll chat further. So thank you.
Sure thing.
All right, we will go next to press X to jump.
Well, I'm Steven, press X to jump. You can find me on Twitter at Rocket Heart, where I share a bunch of different opinions on wrestling, video games, anime, TTRPGs. And you can also find me a lot of times on Luna's Discord, Luna's Living Room, where I enjoy a good chat. We play games.
Eventually, we're gonna bust out the Jackbox Party Pack 8.
Yes, we have to do that.
No.
We have to do that. And generally, you can also Dave.
Dave.
Obligatory.
Cheater, you can't bring
Aw.
a kitten. That's not fair.
I have to. Hey, I'm not a content creator. I'm just a person, so I have to bring something to one up all of you.
Well, thanks for coming back on. It was super nice to have you, and always a pleasure to hang out with you in Discord. All right, so next we'll go to Baloo.
Oh man, I hope I didn't screw this up. So I ran a podcast, hosted a podcast for like a year, and it was super fun, and I got used to getting, handling dead air and stuff like that. But on this end, when I'm waiting for other people to talk to me, it's super awkward for me. So I hope this wasn't too weird. I'm on Twitter at Radio Blue, and I'm on Facebook at J Kennedy, which is my actual name. It's a letter long, and it's also what's on Facebook, and you can't miss it. I'm the only person with a one-letter name and who has a hand-drawn image. One of my best friends drew it. It's gorgeous, and I'm never losing it. Also, bring the kitten. Bring the kitten. Yeah, that's right.
Ah!
That's right. Hi, Louise. Named after the entrepreneur from Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
I love it.
I host a bunch of D&D tables, and it's my pleasure and privilege to hold other people up. I love my job. I love my players. They're all great.
Well, thank you for coming on, and it was super great to have you, and your kitten is adorable also.
You hear that, Dave? You hear that? You're not the only one.
She's coming for you, Dave.
Aww.
Thank you so much for having
That's
me
all
on.
right.
This
Dave
was
is scared of everything, so he would just bolt. He'd leg it.
Yeah, Louise is not scared of anything at all.
Amazing. All right, Scott, I'm going to just turn it over to you.
All right, so I'm Scott. I am one half of Zealzaddy. You can find us everywhere at or / Zealzaddy. So we're on most of the not on most of the socials. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook and Twitter, mostly on Twitter. But we have a link tree you can jump to. We're in the process of building a website to get that ready. We are working on our first product that will eventually probably be on DM's Guild. That'll be later in the year. And then we're about to kick off a bunch of stuff with our Patreon. In the meantime, we have a giveaway tonight. And, oh, by the way, I run a lot of D&D games. I run a puppet show D&D game once a month now that I just started last month.
That's awesome.
And I ran it as an experiment just to see what is it like to do. And I got to say, it's really hard to do. Much harder than I thought. But it's really fun. The big bad was a puppet that I made of a gelatinous cube.
Oh my god.
And it was awesome. And my fingers were so sore from the weight of the slime that my daughter made to fill the thing with. Oh my god, it was so heavy. So, let me ask, can somebody roll me a d6? A 1 to 2 will give me the 1 to 10s. An 11 to 3 or 4 will be the 11 to 20s, and the 5 to 6 will be 21 to 30. Because I
got a 2.
2, so it's in the top half. Now, can somebody else roll me a d10? So it's in the 1 to 10s. If it's a 1, we have to re-roll because I don't have a 1 in there.
9.
9, that would be Shav Hunter 1986.
Oh, I know who that is.
I do too. Ultimate chat friend.
Yeah.
Yep. That is the winner who will get to play in the one shot with
I'm gonna
the
finally
Gods
see what
of
he looks
Creation.
like.
Amazing.
So that's exciting. I see him on Twitter all the time. I've never seen him either. I wonder if he has a corporal form.
Well, we found out before the stream that Baloo did not until the stream, until the call went out.
Right.
So
Right.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you for letting me do that, by the way.
To be here.
That's awesome. And no, I'm super glad and congratulations to Chav Hunter 1986. That's very exciting, and I'm a little bit jealous, but that's all right. All right, I am Gamer Mom Luna. This has been Tales from the Tavern. We were here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and yeah, we're here. We're coming through the entire month of November, except for the Sunday right after Thanksgiving, which I will be taking off. So the last Sunday of the month, I'm taking that Sunday off. And you can catch us live here for the Epic Talk Show, where chat is in charge of asking all of the questions. Coming up in November, I'm going to be hosting a one-shot with me, Big Bees, Dungeon Matter, let's see, the Space Jammer, Amber the Space Jammer, and
So cool.
Souls
It
Rolls.
was awesome.
Yes. Yep. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're playing a little, 3-pager system that Dungeon Matter wrote that's not available for publish, except
Whoa.
we keep telling him that it should be. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. We all had to roll dice to figure out what style hat we wore and things like that. So it's going to be a really good time. If you are a member of the Tales from the Tavern Patreon, you got to see the behind the scenes of the session 0 that we did, where we all got to roll all that stuff and see all of those things. So if you're not a member of our
brilliant.
Patreon, if you're not a member of our Patreon, please consider signing up. It's a great way to get some behind the scenes stuff and get to vote on new emotes for the channel and different things like that. And pretty soon it will be the place to have exclusive question asking rights for the podcast version of Tales from the Tavern. The title is still in the works, but it's going to be something along the lines of being a third hour of the show. So we'll pick a group of guests each week, and we'll record an extra hour as podcast, and those questions will only be coming from Patreon supporters. So that will be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward
Brilliant.
to getting that started.
The power.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. So we are going to go share the love with my good friend Big Bees, who is currently streaming right now. So we're going to go over and say hi to him, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. We will see you all again next Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night.